Great day, friend. Welcome to Equus Workforce Solutions. My name is Rich Williams. I am the business solution consultant in the Gaithersburg office, and I'm also the career instructor. Thank you so much for taking this webinar on communication skills. It is part of our video series, The Pathway to Success. So during this session, we're going to introduce the idea of communication, why communication matters, and then walk through some very specific things that you can do as relates to effective communication. Understand that effective communication is the cornerstone of success in both professional and personal settings. At work, clear communication fosters trust, it reduces misunderstandings, and it drives productivity by ensuring that goals and expectations are understood. That reminds me of the challenge of following directions and you're not really sure what the purpose is. And or here's a maybe better example. When I don't have clear communicated instructions and or communication, to me that's like following someone to a destination that I'd never been there before. So there's a certain level of tension, right? If you can imagine that example where, you and I are driving together, we're in separate cars, and I tell you, just follow me. And, you don't know if it's a 5 minute drive or a 10-minute drive, right? And then maybe I'm driving a little faster than what you're comfortable with. In addition to that, my driving habits are a little different from yours, meaning maybe I change lanes faster than you do. Maybe I drive a little closer to my turn and then I slow down than you do. If you could relate to that scenario, you feel a certain level of tension following me because you're not clear on where we are going and how long it's going to take to get there. So when we have clear communication, it's going to help create this environment of trust. It's going to help reduce some misunderstanding and tension and drive productivity, right? Study shows that 73% of employees believe effective communication positively influence job performance. It highlights its critical role in organizational success. In the home environment, communication strengthens relationships, it builds empathy, and prevents conflict by creating space for mutual understanding. Mutual understanding mean that there is some level of an agreement on where we are going and how we are going to get there. However, poor communication, on the other hand, can lead to frustration, missed deadlines, strained relationships. Whether you're managing a team or navigating family dynamics, the ability to convey ideas clearly and listen actively is essential. So it's the goal of this webinar to explore practical strategies that will help enhance communication skills, including examples of effective and ineffective communication, and provide actionable insights into emerging workplace trends for 2026 and beyond. So, friend, by mastering these skills, individuals can improve collaboration, reduce stress, and create environments where trust and clarity thrive. So let's take this journey together. So we'll go through a structured, comprehensive, yet practical approach to improving communication skills. And this webinar will begin with overview of why communication matters. We'll follow that by deep dive into core skills that apply across work and home. And then next, we'll examine 5 examples of communication, effective communication, and 5 examples of ineffective communication, illustrating how small changes in tone, clarity, and structure can make a significant difference. We will then explore marketplace insight for workplace communication in 2026 and beyond, including trends such as AI driven personalization, hybrid work models, and the growing importance of trust and managed led communication cascades. This particular webinar concludes with practical takeaways, interactive exercises, and resources to help participants apply these skills immediately. So by the end of this webinar, friend, you should have a clear understanding of actionable strategies that's going to help you enhance your communication and ultimately adapt to the evolving workplace demands. So we'll look at some common principles of communication, common groundwork between work and home, differences between work and home as it relates to effective communication. So, friend, despite differences in context, communication at work and home shares fundamental principles. Both environments require active listening, which involves focusing on the speaker, avoiding interruptions, and confirming understanding through paraphrasing. And we'll talk more about paraphrasing later. Clarity is another universal principle. Messages should specify who is responsible, what needs to be done, and by when. Nonverbal cues such as tone, facial expressions, body language play a critical role in conveying intent and building trust. Let me give you an example. Maintaining eye contact during a video call signals engagement, while structured written communication in emails or messages reduces ambiguity. Ambiguity simply means there's a vagueness element to it, right? So these shared principles create a foundation for effective interaction regardless of the setting. By applying these skills consistently, individuals can foster stronger relationships, hopefully prevent and or reduce misunderstandings, and then ultimately create collaborative environments that support both professional success and personal peace and harmony. So while core principles remain consistent, communication at work and home differs in tone, purpose, and expectations. Workplace communication is typically goal oriented, structured, and tied to accountability. It often involves formal channels such as emails, project management tools, scheduled meetings, etc. However, at home, communication is more emotional, it's more relationship driven, requiring sensitivity to feelings and shared history. For example, a manager might use a concise agenda to guide a meeting, whereas a family discussion about chores benefits from empathy and collaborative problem solving. Understanding these differences helps individual adopt their style to fit the context. Context meaning whether it's a work environment or a home environment. At work, clarity and brevity are valued, while at home, patience and emotional validation are essential. So, by recognizing the nuances, little differences between the two, ensures that messages resonate appropriately, hopefully reducing friction and enhancing trust in both areas. For essential skills, four essential skills that we can underpin, highlight, as we address and go down the path of effective communication across all settings meaning home and work, here are some essential tips. Asking open-ended questions as an example. What is an open-ended question? An open-ended question is a question that cannot be answered with a yes or no response. An open-ended question is typically a question asked with why, where, how, who, or what. Typically, questions that start with those 5 words, they're open-ended. Open-ended questions encourage dialogue. Let me give you an example of how an open-ended question encourages dialogue. How long have you been feeling this way? What are some of the challenges you're facing as it relates to completing this project on time? Where do you suggest we implement the stress technique? I'm just making that up. I don't know what the stress technique is. But you get my point, open-ended. Right? Open-ended questions, paraphrasing to confirm understanding, using statements like I. So paraphrasing is, so I'm understanding you to say blank. Is that correct? Right? That's paraphrasing. Providing timely behavior-based feedback, and then, of course, open-ended questions invite dialogue, uncover deeper insights. And I shared this earlier, like the what challenges are you facing? Are you okay? Paraphrasing demonstrates active listening and prevents misinterpretation. So this paraphrasing piece is really helpful at work and home. And again, paraphrasing is simply saying, so you're saying the deadline feels tight. Let's explore some options. I statements, on the other hand, can reduce defensiveness by focusing on personal feelings and needs, such as I feel concerned when deadlines slip because it impacts the team's progress. I feel concerned, as opposed to why do you cause us to miss, right? That's causing a person to be defensive. I feel concerned when deadlines slip because it impacts the team's progress. Finally, timely feedback that focuses on behavior rather than personality promotes growth and collaboration. These skills, when practiced consistently, create a culture of clarity and respect, enabling individuals to navigate complicated conversations with confidence and empathy. So, what are some examples of effective communication? So, at work, effective communication is clear goals and confirmation. Paraphrasing in meetings, right? These are things that are helpful at both home and in meetings. Another example of effective communication is curiosity before advice. Curiosity before advice. What does that mean? So, by asking questions and staying in curiosity, that'll help prevent us from making a judgment. And that would help us slow down the need to offer advice. So, in other words, I need to understand first before I can make any recommendations second. Hopefully that makes sense. At home, you can use I statements as well as the workplace. And at home, I mean, at work, they're a structured meeting. And at home, we have conversations. I'm, I'm concerned when you come home from school and the dishes aren't washed, but I see you playing your game, and that's a real situation right there. I'm concerned. Can we talk about that? Effective, effective communication. And effective workplace communication involves setting clear expectations and confirming understanding. For instance, a manager may say something like, "Hey, please draft a client summary by Friday at 3 p.m. Does that timeline work for you?" See, I'm giving direction. I'm saying when it needs to be done, and then I'm checking in. You may be busy, right? Does that work for you? This approach, friends, specifies the task, the deadline, and invites feedback. Reducing the vagueness, and it fosters accountability. By leaving space for questions, the manager ensures that potential obstacles are addressed early. This method contrasts sharply with vague directives like handle this as soon as possible, which create confusion and stress at the same time. You ever had that? I don't know if you can pick up my rapid breathing or not in the recording, but it's when the boss will come to you. Hey, we got this. We need to get that. I need this ASAP. Okay, what do you need to get done? How long? What? Right. So all of these thoughts now are running, and there's a little bit of confusion, and then there's also some stress. Like for example, and this is how my mind works. If an individual comes to me, hey, I need this, and we need to get it done before 3 p.m. and it's now 2:30, my mind's going to go to, well, why did you wait so long to get it to me? What happens if I don't get it done by 2:30? Who was responsible for this anyways? That may have nothing to do with the present situation, but I'm just giving you an example of how that potential approach, that communication approach, can create confusion and potentially stress. Clear communication not only improves efficiency, but also it builds trust as team members feel respected and informed. Organizations that adopt this practice consistently report higher productivity, fewer missed deadlines, and overall demonstrate the tangible benefits of clarity and having dialogue. Paraphrasing during meetings is a powerful tool because it ensures alignment. For example, after a project update, a team member may say something like, "So I'll handle the API tests and Mary will deliver the UI before Wednesday. We'll review everything Thursday." This recap confirms roles and timelines, preventing misunderstanding and reducing rework. It also signals active listening and engagement, which strengthens team cohesion or togetherness. In fast paced environments where multiple tasks and stakeholders inspect or intersect and expect, paraphrasing acts as a safeguard against error. So, stakeholders, who are stakeholders? There are other departments, other employees, other team leaders, managers relying on whatever the project is that we are working on. So when we paraphrase in a situation like that, it's a safeguard against error. It encourages this practice in daily stand-ups, status meetings, etc., to improve clarity and accountability. And that makes it a cornerstone of effective workplace communication. So at home, effective communication often begins with curiosity rather than unsolicited advice. For instance, asking, what would be the most helpful what would be most helpful from me right now? What would be most helpful from me right now? Listening or ideas? Wow, what a powerful question to ask. This empowers the other person to express their needs and reduces defensiveness. This approach contrasts with jumping into problem solving, which can feel dismissive of the individual's feelings or controlling by the person that's offering the advice prematurely. By prioritizing understanding individuals, create space for collaboration and emotional safety. This technique is particularly useful in high stress situations where assumptions can escalate tensions. Practice curiosity before advice, fosters empathy, and strengthens relationships, making it a valuable skill for personal interaction. Again, that's curiosity before advice. An effective way to address conflict at home is through I statements combined with specific requests. For example, I feel stressed when dishes pile up. Could we do a quick tidy up after dinner? I feel stressed when dishes pile up. Could we do a quick tidy up after dinner? This phrasing focuses on personal feelings and purpose and propose a concrete solution, avoiding the blame game and fostering cooperation. In contrast, statements like you never help with chores trigger defensiveness and escalate conflict. By framing concerns constructively, individuals can resolve issues without damaging trust. This technique is widely recommended in relationship counseling and has proven effectiveness in reducing recurring arguments. That's important. Effective meetings begin with clear agendas and with actionable outcomes. Sending an agenda 24 hours in advance, specifying whether the meeting is for decision making, brainstorming, or updates, sets expectations and reduces waste time. Concluding with a summary of decisions, owners, and deadlines ensures accountability. This structure approach contrasts with unplanned meetings that lack focus and leave participants uncertain about their next steps. Organizations that implement these practices report improved efficiency, higher engagement, demonstrating the value of intentional communication in a collaborative setting. So, examples of ineffective communication in the workplace is vague request. Example is interrupting meetings. At home, it's globalizing statements. Globalizing statement, you always is a globalizing statement. Stonewalling, that's stalling. Workplace, you get overloaded with duties, tasks, responsibilities, etc. So, one common ineffective communication pattern at work is vague requests, such as, please handle this ASAP. That's vague. Well, when should I handle this ASAP? Right? As an example. What are the resources available for me to handle this ASAP? So that statement lacks clarity on ownership, deadlines, and success criteria. And that could potentially lead to confusion and misexpectations. So employees may feel anxious or overwhelmed, they're unsure of the priorities or deliverables. To avoid this, requests should specify the task, the responsible person, the timeline, and any constraints. For example, please finalize the report by Thursday noon and confirm once submitted. Clear directives reduce stress, improve accountability, making them essential for workplace communication. So, meetings, interrupters. Interrupting colleagues during meetings undermines respect and derails productive discussion. It signals disregard for others' contributions and could stifle diverse perspectives. This behavior often results in incomplete ideas and diminished team morale. A better approach is to jot down thoughts and wait for an appropriate moment to share or ask clarifying questions that build on previous points. Encouraging turn taking and active listening creates a collaborative environment where all voices can be heard improving decision quality and team togetherness. Let's take a quick look at globalizing statements. Using phrases like "you never help." That's a globalizing statement. "You always ignore me." That's a globalizing statement. "You never clean up your room." Globalizing statement. But think about this. If you say to me as a child, as your child, "You never clean up your room," what makes it a globalizing statement is you will dismiss and overlook the times that I did clean up my room. And maybe I cleaned up my room without you even asking me. I hope this is making sense and you're seeing some good tips and techniques that you can use to foster better communication at home. Right? So that "you always ignore me," that's a hallmark ineffective communication. These statements, they trigger defensiveness, they overlook positive behaviors, and they escalate conflicts rather than resolving them. Instead, focus on specific instances and their impact, followed by constructive respect. For example, "I felt yesterday when chores piled up. Could we agree on a cleanup routine?" This approach fosters problem solving and preserves emotional safety, strengthening relationships over time. So that goes along with an idea and or mindset sometimes parents have, and the parents may have the mindset that "I'm the parent, you're the child." And yes, although it is a true statement, the long-term effect of "do as you're told," it creates a disconnect between the child and the parent. It creates a disregard from the parent to the child. Distance is created between the parent and the child. So please look at your communication style at home. Now, if you need more help on that, we have a 6 video series on effective communication between the parent and the child. So you want to look those videos up or ask your ESS to send you the videos. Stonewalling is refusing to engage or withdrawing during conflict. It's destructive communication pattern. It increases tension, erodes trust, while taking a break to cool down can be healthy. Disappearing without explanation leaves issues unresolved. That's stonewalling. I was once told by a therapist that sometimes people take the off ramp during challenging conversations and or situations. And I'm talking about in the home, and it happens in the workplace. Right now, we're looking at um, how this affects us at home. Taking the off ramp, what does that mean? I'm approaching a challenging situation with my child, with my spouse, my partner, my significant other. I'm approaching a difficult, challenging situation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to deflect, or I'm going to bring up another situation, or I'm going to stall, right? I'm going to stall. Or the term we use for this webinar is stonewalling. I'm shutting down. I'm not explaining. I just stop. I get emotional. My emotion maybe get too high, and now, as opposed to having a conversation, we are arguing. So you could take a break. You can identify where you are emotionally. I'm feeling a little upset right now. So can we table this? Can we hold off? Can we finish this conversation later today? See, I'm taking a break so I can cool down. I want to have a healthy conversation, but I don't want to just stop talking and walk away or become angry and burst out emotionally, and we never get to resolve the problem. Explanation leaves issues. Leaving without explanation leaves these issues unresolved. So a better strategy is maybe use a timeout, right, with a clear plan to resume. I need 20 minutes right now to calm down. Can we talk later at 7? This signals respect for both parties, and we are agreeing that the conversation needs to continue, but we need to pause for the moment, right? As opposed to avoiding the conversation. We're just pausing for the moment. And in today's digital workplace, excessive use of multiple communication channels, emails, chat, project tools without clear norm leads to missed updates. So employees waste time searching for information and clarifying decisions. To prevent this, teams should agree on one channel, such as using email for formal updates or a chat for quick questions, project tools, etc. So we're trying to consolidate communication to help reduce some of the communication noise and hopefully improve efficiency in the workplace. So here's some insight on the marketplace that would be helpful, should be helpful, right? Some marketplace growth, some trends to take into consideration. So these are resources that you can go to. LinkedIn, as an example, will have information on communication. You can Google communication tools, market place. The global market for workplace communication uh, tool is projected to reach approximately $27 billion in 2026. That's just on project communication tools alone, right? That's like a 15% increase from 2021 to 2026. And friend, this surge is driven by the rise of remote and hybrid work models, which demand real-time collaboration. So organizations, they're going to invest in tools that combine messaging, video, conferencing, etc. So being an effective communicator in the workplace, I need to be a student of these communication platforms and tools, right? So that will help manage the workflow, help create engagement, and allow the organization to prioritize transparency and agility, right? That leads to a more productive work environment. You also want to look at some key trends in artificial intelligence, right? AI driven personality, AI tools assist in drafting messages like ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot as an example. Um, Authenticity and transparency is critical as employees value human judgment alongside this automation. We're not eliminating automation. We're just saying be aware of it, right? Managers can lead communication scenario using tools and structured templates, etc. All of this is being sensitive to the trends of AI communication tools in the workforce. More communication tools that you could take advantage of. I did mention LinkedIn earlier as a potential source. These trends of modern communication tools and understanding them that can help reduce some of the challenges and or frustrations, right, as it relates to effective communication in the workplace. And some practical applications, some things to consider. Participants can apply 5 quick wins immediately. Send agendas with intended outcomes before meetings. Paraphrase at least one per discussion. Use an I statement. This is put into practice what you're learning at work and or at home. At work, close every meeting by summarizing. This action requires minimum effort, but has significant benefits for the team. Communication templates and tools. Again, these are structured tools, resources that can help manage outcomes, track deadlines, and provide space for some feedback. Digital tools like Microsoft Teams or Slack can host agendas, summarize, while AI features assist with drafting and summarizing content. So some key takeaways from today's webinar. Effective communication hinges on clarity and empathy and accountability. Paraphrasing and structuring messages, individuals can improve interactions at both work and home. Understand that the need to embrace technology trends such as AI assisted tools while being authentic in 2026 and beyond. Over the next 48 hours, here's what I would like for you to do. Try to apply at least two of the tools or techniques that you learned today, either at work and or at home. Remember, small, consistent actions compound into trust and collaboration. And that, friend, creates environments where people thrive personally and professionally.